I will be perfectly honest with you. I really don't care what we do with Europe. I'm well aware that, so many of us have European roots. Okay, big whoop. Yes, this is America. We ain't Europe. We may have a European background, but it doesn't mean that we're European. We also have Native Americans in this country. We also have folks that have their roots in many different countries from Africa, Asia, South America. It doesn't matter. We've got Australians, New Zealanders, all those folks have come to America and created a life for themselves. Well, Europe has decided that they want to censor free speech, aka they want to censor conservatives. They ain't censoring nothing that has anything to do with liberalism. No, they want you to hear all the things that are supposedly good about communism and socialism, National Socialism and the Stalinist ideals, but they want to shut down those folks that want smaller government, more manageable government, more sane government. Biden was all for this. Biden's administration helped stop the Romanian people from getting a conservative leader. They helped other countries keep from getting conservatives using U.S. tax dollars. Well, Donald Trump ain't Joe Biden, and he's been in talks with the Europeans, and he's told them, unless you get rid of this or amend this Digital Services Act, we're not going to play ball with y'all on a lot of things. A little bit of wheeling and dealing, but basically to do what this Digital Services Act requires, American companies would have to censor American voices. You heard that right. This bill in Europe, or this law in Europe, to go into effect in a proper manner to do what the Europeans want, Americans would end up getting censored. I ain't for that. Donald Trump ain't for that. While I may have had a lot, I may be having some disagreements with Trump on several issues. This ain't one of them. But let's get into this a little bit here. Also, hit like and subscribe for me. Let's go.
Howdy, y'all. This is Paul, the Redneck Thinker. What we have here is a channel to communicate. I want you folks to be thinking by the time you leave my videos. Why? Because I'm tired of people talking via what other people tell them to think. So, watch my video and enjoy the chance to think for yourself.
Reuters found out because somebody went to him and said, "This is what's going on." Uh, Donald Trump's administration is considering imposing sanctions on European Union or member state officials responsible for implementing the bloc's landmark Digital Services Act. Two sources familiar with the matter said over U.S. complaints that the law censors Americans and imposes costs on U.S. tech companies. Now, mind you, this imposing cost on U.S. tech companies is also the same problem that a lot of people are having with Maryland's new little digital tax that they passed over the objections of the governor, the attorney general, both of whom are Democrat, and several judges so far. But such a move would be an unprecedented action that would escalate the Trump administration's fight against what it sees as Europe's attempt to suppress conservative voices. Senior State Department officials have yet to make a final decision on whether to go ahead with punitive measures that would likely come in the form of visa restrictions, the sources said. It is unclear which EU or EU member state officials the action would target, but U.S. officials held internal meetings on the topic last week, according to the sources. Trump on Monday threatened countries that have digital taxes with subsequent additional tariffs on their goods if those nations do not remove such legislation. While trading partners frequently complain about domestic rules they see as unfairly restrictive, sanctioning government officials over such regulation is extremely rare. The relationship between Trump administration and European Union is already frayed by tariff threats and tense negotiations, as well as U.S. criticism of the treatment of U.S. tech companies. Citing an internal State Department cable, Reuters last month reported that the Trump administration has instructed U.S. diplomats in Europe to launch a lobbying campaign to build opposition to the Digital Services Act in an effort to have it amended or repealed. The EU's DSA is meant to make online environments safer in part by compelling tech giants to do more to tackle illegal content such as hate speech. What they term as hate speech is something entirely different. And what's known as CSAM, it's child material that, yeah. Washington has said EU is pursuing undue restrictions on freedom of expression in its efforts to combat hateful speech, misinformation, and disinformation, and that the DSA is further enhancing those curbs. Basically, they're trying to make sure that people's voices aren't heard, and there's a whole lot to it. But I'm going to have a link to this down below. It's to the Yahoo. No, yeah, it's going to be to the Yahoo link to it because, well, Reuters is. You've got to pay money for Reuters, and I ain't got the money, or I ain't got a way to give y'all a gift or subscription or anything to this. But you're going to see what the Trump administration is trying to do, which is a little bit more in depth than what I've already told you. But they are trying to stop this. There comes a point where we just need to say no. They keep noting that Gen Z is far more conservative than the previous two generations. That doesn't seem to be just happening in America. There seems to be a lot of people fed up with this socialist or well, Marxist ideology that has pervaded the world. And at the same time, even though folks know that this is getting to be the case, they still pass this silliness like this Digital Services Act or like Maryland's little digital tariff or digital tax act. Common sense needs to start prevailing. I don't like Europe. I'm well aware that we got to do some trading with them, and I'm well aware that we've got some connections with them and all that. But we are way too involved with Europe, and they're way too involved with us. This kind of stuff, no. I'm getting tired of hearing about all the censoring that's going on. I'm getting tired. And the Democrats keep thinking, oh, we just need to be more European like, even though they call European colonizers. The silliness of that whole thing is just beyond me anyway. But I thought I'd bring this to your attention that, well, Trump is actively trying to counter that silliness that is going on in Europe. Like I've said before, I ain't a real big fan of some of the things he's been doing lately, aka putting tax dollars into U.S. companies. Uh, he's talking about allowing China to import 600,000 spies and giving them student visas. Stuff like that, I ain't a real big fan of. But this, I have no problems with. Matter of fact, this helps us. As long as we counter Maryland's little stupidity that they shouldn't be doing. But this helps us. And even helps the liberals in a lot of ways, but they won't admit to it. But I thought I'd bring this to your attention so y'all would know what's going on in the world because you don't hear a lot of folks talking about this. This has been Paul, the Redneck Thinker. Y'all have a good day now. Bye. So, folks, that's the story that I wanted to bring you on this video. And I just wanted to say thank you again for coming by. Well, hit like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff if you don't mind. Help me out. So, y'all have a good day now.